Same thing, we have to divide by 2 first to clean it up. Always clean it up, always simplify first.
That'd be plus or minus 7.
Yes. Good, so let's work on this one. 4x plus 3 everything squared minus 7 equals 69. This is almost set up for taking square roots. Not quite. It needs cleaning up. How do I clean this up?
Add 7 to each side. And
Yes.
divide.
Yes, I have to add 7 to each side first. So 4x plus 3 squared equals 76. Oh, I'm sorry. Good. What do we do next?
Divide by 4.
Yes, we have to divide both sides by 4. So we have x plus 3 everything squared equals. Is it 9? Is it 19?
Yes.
What do we do next? Now this is completely cleaned up and ready for taking square roots.
Square roots.
And again, if we forget plus or minus, remember it's a quadratic. Quadratic means degree 2. Degree 2 means 2 solutions. Please remember that. Quadratic means degree 2 and also means 2 solutions. Even if they are both the same, who cares? So now we have to write x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 19. And then we subtract 3 wisely by putting it in front of plus or minus. Do not write it after the square root. Is it wrong? What if I write it like this? Plus or minus the square root of 19 minus 3. It's not wrong. But remember, we don't like to write anything behind the square root. What if something terrible happens and I extend the square root or I don't remember what I'm doing? So we prefer to end with a square root. We don't want the square root to be somewhere in the way. So as you see, the title is Solving Quadratic Equations by Completing the Square. But that's false. If I don't know how to take the square root and apply the square root process, how will I know how to complete the square? Good. Finally. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 16. In this particular situation, knowing factoring, I know that the left-hand side is already a perfect square. There is no need to go through the procedure. What procedure? What am I talking about? The procedure of finding what is needed to complete the square. There is no need because the left-hand side is already a perfect square. But I have to remember factoring. See, everything is linked in math. So what do I do? What is this?
X minus 3 squared?
Yes, it appears to be x minus 3 squared equals 16. But is it? I don't know. I haven't checked the middle term. But the middle term is negative 2 times 3 times x. Is it? Yes, it is. Now it is set up and ready for taking the square root from both sides. So x minus 3 equals plus or minus 4. I have to put negative 3, moving to the other side, it changes into positive. And I have, this time, they are like terms, so to speak, right? And I have to separate them. What's the point here, for example, in writing negative 3 plus the square root of 19, comma, comma, negative 3 minus the square root of 19? It may ask you to enter them like this with a comma. But there is no need on paper to separate them because I cannot simplify. Negative 3 plus the square root of 19 is carved in stone. Negative 3 minus the square root of 19 is also carved in stone. So on paper, we write this. But they may not have this key of plus or minus. So they may ask you to write it as negative 3 plus, comma, negative 3 minus in Pearson. Okay. So now x equals 3 plus or minus 4. But here we can separate. And we have to separate and simplify.
-1 and 7.
Yes. So 3 plus 4 and 3 minus 4. Indeed. They may even ask you to write it as set builder or raster notation. They may ask you to write it like this. They may ask you to write it with a comma. So be very careful. Read the fine print, which sometimes I'm accusing myself of not doing. I'm not taking my own advice sometimes with this Pearson. Okay, so please read the fine print to see how they want you to. You'll get the credit from me because I'll see what you wrote, but
Do you make the test, or does Pearson
yes, no, I make the test. So we are told x minus 7, everything squared, is equal to 36. So this is,
This is a perfect square.
yes, it's already done. There is nothing. But you know, if one of you or some of you will do this, x squared minus 2 times the first times the second equals 36. This is terrible.
Backwards.
You're going backwards, exactly. Because we have this method as long as it's effortless. And it is effortless here. So x minus 7 equals plus or minus 6. X equals 7 plus or minus 6, and we must separate them. So please do not do this, because we have a method that works just fine.
It's 1 and 2.
So we have the 7 minus 6, and we have the 7 plus 6. Anyone has any questions so far, please? Any questions? Is this okay? Yes, no, anybody?
Yes.
I'm getting a sip of water. Good. Moving on to other problems. Good. So they are asking us what is missing here to create a perfect square. Now we have to go through the steps, but not all of them, because we are not solving an equation. So in step number 1, I have to identify the middle coefficient, 8. In step number 2, I have to divide it by 2, 4. In step number 3, I have to square 4. And that's all I need. So this will form, look here for a moment, x plus 4 squared.
Hold on. Interesting. But when you divide it by 2, the middle is what the answer is.
Exactly. Because 2 times the first times the second,
Oh, yeah.
second term squared. Exactly. That's why I insisted for you, if you took my advice, to remember that tune. First term squared plus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. So this is now a piece of cake.
I prefer pi.
Can anyone tell us what would you add to x squared minus 24x?
What?
Indeed.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Which is 12 squared, 144. Indeed. Because it's negative 24 divided by 2, which is 12. And when you square 12, you get 144. And then this will equal,
X minus 12.
that's it. X minus 12, everything squared. Why? Because this expansion has negative 2 times the first times the second, plus the second term squared.
Math is fun.
Good. Oh, I have to tell you this. You know me, I don't like wasting time, but I have to tell you this. If I did tell you, stop me, because I probably did. In one of my classes 100 years ago, I was still writing on the board. So I was sitting in the front row, I was writing whatever, and she says, "I hate math." Okay, so I turned around and I said, Catherine was her name. Catherine, if you tell me you love math, I'll give you 1 point, bonus point on the next test. At that moment, the entire class, if it were rehearsed, it would have not been perfect. The entire class screamed at the top of their lungs, "I love math." I had to sit down and catch my breath. It was so fantastic. So, thank you, Matt. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to change the camera. Yeah. Sorry for that digression. Sorry. Okay. Let's talk about this one, because this is slightly 1% more difficult, because 5 is not divisible by 2. But it should not create any issue. The first step is -5. The second step is -5 divided by 2. And the third step is still this squared, which is 25/4. And that's it. The steps are still the same. But this is what you need to rewrite it. How do I rewrite it?
Be X minus 5/2.
That's it. 2 times the first times the second is -5x. The second term squared is 25/4. So don't get, scared or startled by fractions. Really, please. Okay, even this one is fine. So let me show you why. X squared minus 1/4 x. Same thing. The steps are the same. -1/4. Step 2. Divided by 2. -1/8. So -1/4 divided by 2 is 12.5. And now when I square this, I still get 1/64. So what? I will still be using this.
X minus 1/8.
That's it. First term squared minus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. Okay, are they going to give us some equations? Where are those? Okay, finally. So x squared plus 8x equals -50. Now this is a piece of cake, right? Because I know the steps. Step 1, I identify 8. Step 2, I divide 8 by 2. Step 3, I square 4, and I get 16. I need to add 16 to both sides. If you and you make an error to add 16 to one side and not to the other, the whole thing collapses. Only adding 16 to both sides does not change the equation. But now we know what this means. And this is 1. X plus 4. Now I'm stuck if I don't remember how to take square roots and how to get the solution. What am I doing? Completing the square does not solve the problem.
That's
It's a long procedure, and it doesn't even solve the issue.
5 and 3.
So x equals -4 plus or minus 1. Indeed, x equals -5 and x equals -3. Let's stop for a moment and see if we have questions. Anyone, please? Any questions?
How do you guys look at the problem and do it in your head? Like, it's almost like you look at the numbers and you're like, oh yeah. X
Because we divide by 2 and square.
It's like muscle memory. If once you like, it's like when you learn your multiplication tables. Some of it's like muscle memory.
Okay.
And if you try to memorize it, you won't get it. But like if you just practice it, it's like it becomes like a muscle memory thing where like you know that the square root of 4 is 2.
Okay. So maybe my brain's just like, because I do all the practices, I do all the classwork, I even go back and do it again, and it still doesn't just come like that to me. I have to sit there and think about it and put it in my calculator sometimes, and then I come up with my answer.
Yeah, but Sarah, as my grandma used to say, we are all balanced. What you can do that fast, I won't be able to.
Yeah, I had a gym teacher. She said practice makes permanent, not perfect, because you're never perfect. But if you practice, you always gonna remember how to do it.
Very good point. Good. X squared minus 4x minus 23. Let's work on this problem for a minute on our own. And then I'm looking to see what else I should copy. Okay, we'll go back to 21. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 23. Let's take a moment. Okay, can anyone describe or tell us the first step?
At 23.
Good. Done.
And then add 4 to both sides.
Yes. Everyone agrees with 4. Do we all agree with 4? Because we have -4 divided by 2, that's -2, and we square -2, which is 4, and we add 4 to both sides. And now we know that this must be a perfect square, and the right-hand side is 27.
X minus 2.
X minus 2. So now we take the square root. X minus 2 equals plus or minus, but we have to write 27 as 9 and 2. And the reason is we have to simplify.
To square root of 2.
Right. And we move 2 in front. So x equals 2 plus or minus 3, the square root of 2. Caution, because Pearson may ask you to write them with a comma.